The following podcast is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Connect, Australia's newest choice for event management and brand development specializing in pro wrestling.
And now, the B Plus Wrestling Podcast. Watch global. Support local. It's the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The moves.
B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the B Plus land. It is me, it is I, the one they call Mr. Mysterious, and welcome to the Impact Zone. I'm flying solo once again this week covering Impact, which I don't mind at this point. It's been happening for the past few weeks now because we're very spread out, doing a whole bunch of different content. We're trying to do as much as possible for you guys to give you guys a broader perspective on the independent scene and all the goings on in the wacky, weird world of professional wrestling. Maybe I'm just the lonely Impact fan, much like my colleague CJ. He's the lonely WWE fan. I might be the lonely Impact fan at the moment. I don't feel like my situation is as dire though, personally. CJ is a far braver man than I, going through Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live. 205 Live is the highlight, of course, of his segment. You guys should listen to that and all our other episodes here on the B+. But today, it's my time, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Impact Zone. We are back in New York City for the latest tapings for Impact Wrestling. And as far as I know, Pursuit, thankfully, they actually put this up properly on their channel after last week. They just didn't show any of last week's episode. They showed replays, and that was the episode that really tied everything together, made things make sense moving forward on the road to Slammiversary in about a month's time. Yeah, I'm glad that issue is over for the time being. There's probably going to be some snafus going forward again, but of course you guys should subscribe to Impact Plus, get your first free month there, and yeah, there are plenty of outlets to watch Impact Wrestling legally, and you should take advantage of them because Impact Wrestling is chugging along. We are on the train to Slammiversary. We're on track, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of safe to say that we're on track here. So let's start off with the opening match. The North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander versus Rob Van Dam and Sabu, of course accompanied by Super Genie. And the winner will face LAX for the Tag Team Championships at Bash at the Brewery. You would have known it until like halfway through. They said, oh, by the way, the winner of this will face LAX for the tag titles at Bash at the Brewery. They didn't tell you that this match had implications. They didn't tell you that it was a no DQ match because out of the blue, the ECW team of RVD and Sabu, they just brought out steel chairs. They brought out tables. I think they had a very green referee because he's just like, oh, come on, man. He didn't disqualify him. He's like, I don't want to disqualify you guys. I like you ECW regionals. I grew up with you. Very... there are a couple botches in here is what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. Not helped by the referee. A couple of the instances were the ECW originals, they were at fault. But this was, as always, we open up with a strong opening match. I didn't mind this. So, of all the showings that we've had from RVD and Sabu and the ECW originals to date, they've slowly getting back into the swing of Impact tapings again. Rob Van Dam, he's not as gassed in this episode, which is good, but Sabu is the one who took the brunt of this entire tag match, and of all the ECW originals, he seems to be the exception to the rule. He is the one who can still do all the flips and the dives and the jumping through jumping through tables and hitting people with steel chairs. He is still going great. Obviously he looks like he's been through the ringer, but he can still go and move and he's agile as ever. Rob Van Dam, very different story. But this match, I am actually happy about this match because the North won. The North were in firm control of this match from most of it. They wore down RVD, preventing it from getting the tag to Sabu. They cut the ring in half there. RVD fought off Page in a series of kicks, landing to get the hot tag to Sabu. Yeah, again, just flung the steel chairs at Josh Alexander, just full on like a dart, like very solid shots. Like, Sabu, you are truly the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, death-defying, all of that, and more. So my hat goes off to you. RVD and Sabu set up Josh Alexander on a table, and they were both about to jump off the top ropes when out comes Moose. And Moose pushes RVD off the ring, and like Sabu actually lands the shot for a near fall, but then RVD's out of action, and the numbers game takes advantage. The North pick up the victory over RVD and Sabu, and Moose is just looking on, just laughing. Like, he's just loving life at this point. So they're going to have a tag team championship match on an Impact Plus special where LAX will retain the titles going into Slammiversary. But it's nice that they get a win. It's nice that the North get a win. Granted, it was with the help of Moose, but I'm glad that the North are back in title contention, and they are going to focus on them once again being a big tag team threat, because they are, and they should be a big tag team threat. Now, after the match, so I mentioned last week that I'm really glad that Moose is on a crusade against the ECW Originals. More power to him. Please keep it up, sir. This is where I differ from what happened, where I would have rathered it gone a different way, but I'm still okay with how it went. So after the match, Tommy Dreamer comes out. So Moose is showing off in the ring, saying like, haha, I made you guys lose. And Tommy Dreamer comes out, throws Moose back in the ring, allowing the ECW Originals to get a few punches in. RVD's about to set up for the Van Terminator, like the coast to coast, but Moose quickly retreats out of action, right? Because, of course, RVD and Moose will face off at Slammiversary July 7th, but you could have just had Moose looking great. You could have just had Moose look like completely, like he's got momentum ahead of him, but at the same, it's weird. He's one of those guys who he can have he can have the story behind him, he can pick up the victories, but he still comes out looking like a bumbling idiot. If I had to describe him, I feel like he would be the perfect person to be in WWE, because he's got the look, he's got the sports background, he's good with, like, he's got comedic timing, and he's savage in the ring. Like, he's got all these ingredients, and he's got the one name of Moose. He seems like the perfect person that WWE would just love to throw in every situation just to make them seem like a bumbling idiot, and Impact are doing that to Moose all on their own. But yeah, it's a very weird thing. Like, I would have much rather that Moose come out looking like a proper threat. So he is still got some momentum. He's got one over the ECW Originals, but at the same time, he does look a little bit silly. Now, next match, actually, as well, backstage, Moose is arguing with the North, right? After he said that he's done with the North, he has an argument with them backstage saying, like, where were you guys when the ECW Originals were beating me up? And, like, the North were just pointing out, like, dude, you said no to us. You wanted to do this on your own. And we've picked up a victory over the ECW Originals. We're happy. We're going to focus on the tag team stuff going forward. And Moose is like, yeah, I don't need you guys anymore. Just, like, I'm going to beat Tommy Dreamer next week. They'll probably beat Sandman the week after. Whatever. I'm glad that Moose and the North are separate of each other. I'm very glad, because it made no sense that they were partnered in the first place. Yeah, Moose is focusing on the ECW. He's focusing on his own storyline. It was silly. Moose looks like an idiot, but he has momentum. He has story to work through. We'll see what happens, guys. As I mentioned, we are on the road to Slammiversary. It's a rocky road, but we're on the road nevertheless. Our next match is a singles match, Havoc, accompanied by Father James Mitchell and Sue Young, versus Masha Slamovich, also known as part of the lovely thing that we call the Job Squad, because this was just a straight-up match where Havoc has come back from the get-go, dominates Slamovich. When it looks like she might be building some momentum, Havoc cuts her off with a big swinging slam, choke slam, tombstone pile driver, 1, 2, 3, Havoc. Looks like a big monster looming over the women's division. Kind of expected it. Yeah, very good showing. Welcome back, Jessica Havoc. After the match, though, James Mitchell calls out Rosemary, and everything he says, it's just exposition, background, exposition, exposition. And it's like he does it in such a charming way that it's like he's trying to make it sound sinister, but it comes off quite cute. I don't know. Very weird, Father James Mitchell. It's just like he has a particular style to him you just have to appreciate. But he calls out Rosemary. He explains why things have worked out the way they have. And he mentions that last week Taya Valkyrie got caught in the shockwave of their confrontation. And he's going to make it his personal goal to make Jessica Havoc the next Knockouts champion. Very interesting, especially with what happened later on in this episode. We have another match, Raj Singh with Rohit Raju and his father Garma Singh versus Cody Deaner with cousin Jake of the Deaners Giver. This was just a proper singles match, nothing much to it. Again, they're keeping the rivalry up between the Desi Hit Squad and the Deaners. It's going to keep going to Slammiversary. We're only a couple weeks away, to be honest, which, fair enough. Cody dives through the ropes, crashing into Raj on the floor. Cody heads to the top rope, but a distraction from Rohit allowed Raj to take control with a modified hanging neck breaker. You had Raj distract the referee, and Garma's actually getting involved, which surprised me. He hasn't really done much as a manager for quite a while, and like all of a sudden now he's getting physical, which maybe the company's getting behind them more, and they're actually and Garma's allowed to use a bit more force to show that the Impact have a bit of a faith in them. I don't know. There's something there. You had Jake wanted to stop Rohit from interfering in the match, and he's about to pummel Garma Singh when, oh my heart, and in the ring, the referee's distracted with what's going on outside. Rohit hits Coney with a running knee. Raj hits a new finishing move to score the pinfall. I actually did quite like it. It was kind of like a side slam thing. It was pretty cool what they did. And yeah, with shenanigans, Raj Singh defeats Cody Deaner. And yeah, after the match, Garma gets up like nothing happened. He faked a heart attack, you monster. It's a serious thing. But yeah, obviously, they're going to keep having back and forth. We'll probably see in the next taping, we're going to see Cousin Jake versus Rohit Raju. I don't know, something to that effect. Like, I'm okay with it. It's not irritating me. And if they've got nothing else going on, why not, ladies and gentlemen? Backstage, you have Johnny Impact offering Michael Elgin help in sending Willie Mack to the hospital, but he's just doing it in like a really dickish way. So Michael Elgin, he's saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do all this shit to Willie Mack," and then Johnny Impact's here with Johnny Bravo. He's on the phone to hospital saying like, "You're sure Willie Mack's not there? You're sure that Rich Swann isn't there? You're sure that such and such, like Brian Cage? Oh, he left. Like, why?" You know exactly what's going to happen. This tag team is not a cohesive unit, and Johnny Impact is just being an idiot. And I love afterwards that Michael Elgin's saying like, "You keep this up, buddy. Like, I'm going to put you on the list." And he's just like, what a narcissist. He didn't even ask about my hair. And like Johnny Bravo's like, "I like your highlights. Thanks, man. Thanks, bro. Bro. Just bro." Impact. Ladies and gentlemen, Impact.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This month we are sponsored by Grapple, a fantastic new wrestling app available on iOS and Google Play completely for free, where you can rate all the matches that you watch in WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all across the world, and we are even getting Australian wrestling involved in the Grapple app rating system as well, starting with PWA Pro Wrestling Australia. Their Green Label event from the other week is up there. The Black Label event, All Eyes on Troy, is up there. And the last 2 years of events, at least, are up on Grapple right now for you to rate so that people can get around our Aussie wrestling and see that we are just as good as anywhere else in the world. Basically, Grapple is a Rotten Tomatoes for wrestling. Now we all get a say. It is the democratization of match rating systems for pro wrestling. It's amazing. So I get a say, you get a say. You can follow me on there at Greg Unchained. You can follow Big Boy Mikey at B+_Big Boy. At Mr. Mysterious is on there. At Danders is on there. At Jay is on there. We're all on there rating the matches that we watch. So follow us. We'll follow you back. Let's build this community and get as many Australian wrestling fans onto the Grapple app as we can. You can download it right now. It has over 30,000 matches on there going back to 1985, 15 promotions around the world. There's so much to do on the Grapple app. It's a great little community, so get around it. It's Grapple, GRAPPL.co, and it's for free on App Store and Google Play. Get around it. Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
Afterwards, guys, we have Rosemary. We get a promo with her backstage, questioning James Mitchell's ability to control his new monster in Havoc. I actually like this promo of Rosemary. Like, she seemed a little bit more like she's got the upper hand in this. It was very clever. I'm very confused if Havoc becomes the new women's champion, then we have more Dark Realm, Undead Realm stories with Rosemary for the women's title. That would be very interesting going forward. It's an extra spice to this story that was very much needed. No fault there. You have a promo with Sami Callihan. He just entered the women's locker room, especially after Miss Slamovich lost her match, and her friend, who had the same attire, so assuming she's another member of the Job Squad, saying like, what happened? Like, here, have some water, get hydrated, tell me what happened, girl. But then all of a sudden, Sami Callihan just barges in, just saying, like, this place is a lot cleaner than men's locker room. Yeah. And he's like, it's 2019. I can go where I want, which, Sammy, don't start that. And all of a sudden, Tessa gets in his face and saying that I belonged in the ring to kick your boys' asses. Next week, challenging Jake Chris to an intergender match. Yeah, this is the right way to go. If they're going to distract Tessa with something else, I can see, facing off against Jake Chris. Maybe Scarlett will face off against his brother next time. There'll be a tag match. Maybe it's Slammiversary to keep OVE distracted. Yeah. No, I don't see any problem with this right now. Obviously, the ladies have to come out looking great after this, and then finally Tessa can get back in the title picture. But maybe they won't with all this Undead Realm stuff. Maybe they'll cool off on that for a little while, so maybe she'll have a nice little run in the intergender division. I'm very curious to see how they plays out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm cautious, but I'm putting some trust in Impact Wrestling. You know, they've earned that for now. That's not an invitation to like mess with me. It's a very, very abusive relationship I am in with Impact Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I can't trust them too much, but at the same time, I need to give them some leeway. It's like all good relationships, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, we had a next match. We had Jordan Grace up against Madison Rain. And the new attitude, Kira Hogan, joined Josh Matthews and Don Callis on commentary. She's saying that she's looking out for herself and no one else. The commentary team on this really irritated me because Josh Matthews is watching his wife in the ring. He's kind of half listening to what they're talking about. And it's saying like they're trying to say like Kira Hogan's reasons for what she's been doing, saying like, oh, it's all part of the plan. I don't need anyone. Like I was a fake friend all along. Like they're throwing out all these different storylines that fall flat because Josh Matthews kind of half listening like, yep. Oh, look at the action in the ring with Madison and Jordan. It's like, this could have benefited really well if maybe just Don Callis and Kira Hogan just focused on the match and Josh Matthews kind of like maybe she kicks him off commentary. That could have worked because it was very awkward, very clunky. The actual in-ring match was good. I think Jordan Grace got some new graphics and maybe some new entrance music. I'm not too sure, but she looked great. Like the new entrance, the way where they're filming in New York for these tapings, really great venue. I will say that. But as for the match itself, yeah, Grace sent Madison over the top rope, crashing to the floor. She showed a lot of more powerhouse moves, did a big, long delayed vertical suplex. Madison locked in a Koji clutch, but Grace countered with a new submission of her own. Very, a lot of stretching, ladies and gentlemen. It was very hard to watch. You had Madison connect with the ripcord cutter on the floor. That one looks brutal. Like, Madison Rayne, she can still go. She is she's a big force to be reckoned with in Knockouts division. Grace hit a huge spinning muscle buster, but Madison kicked out for the near fall, and the match ended. So Kira left commentary after saying that she's the Blue Flame and whatever else she's trying to convey. I'm still very confused at this point. So she leaves commentary, walked up the ringside. She's distracted Jordan. Not really. Jordan's kind of noticed her, but not that much. But either way, Madison's allowed to hit the cross Rain for the win. Madison Rayne quietly picks up another victory. I feel like that's what she's doing moving forward. All her victories, she'll sneak up on someone, get a quick victory, and then we'll get another promo with her saying, I've beaten you twice already. I'm going to beat you a third time. We're going to get that same promo from Madison Rayne down the line. I just know it. The Queen Bee, they have the one promo for her. I don't know. What can you do, ladies and gentlemen? We had another match, if you can call it this, ladies and gentlemen. It was Killer Cross versus the Sandman. Just add the blue. They recapped the story between Eddie Edwards and Killer Cross, which I thought was over last week. It seemed like things were done, right? But nope. Killer Cross comes out, and he's all of a sudden facing Sandman. Now, Sandman just had his 55th birthday. He cannot go in the ring anymore. If you've watched MLW, I can't remember the episode number, when he teamed up with Tommy Dreamer, that would showcase that wholeheartedly, that he can't go in the ring anymore. This was a no DQ match, although you wouldn't have known it because the ref didn't say anything, commentary didn't say anything. All of a sudden, Sandman pulls out his kendo stick because that's the only way he got some momentum in this entire thing. So, he did a back elbow, he did the 10 punches in the corner, he got out the kendo stick, started doing a couple swings, and then Killer Cross locks in a chokehold, the cross jacket. Sandman fades away and passes out for the quick victory. It was about 90 seconds. It is what it is. I'm very glad they didn't drag it out because Sandman he cannot go in the ring anymore. And I feel like if Moose is going to fight all the ECW originals, I feel like at some point he's going to fight the Sandman, maybe the week after Dreamer. And I hope that is just a very, very quick match. I don't want to see Sandman drag things out because it will look like everyone didn't like Super Showdown with Undertaker Goldberg. We're getting to those levels because Sandman is in that age bracket, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So Cross won't release the hold on Sandman until Eddie Edwards comes out, makes the save. Eddie uses Kenny 2.0 that Sandman gave to him to fight off Cross, forcing him to retreat. I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done. it seemed like everything had kind of gone back to normal, but they're just like, nope. Killer Cross needs an opponent for Slammiversary, and they kind of realize that everyone else is kind of booked out at the moment. I mean, that Moose is facing RVD. Yeah, I can't imagine who else they would have paired him with. I have to mull it over. Maybe I'll think they one over next week. But yeah, they just realized, oh shit, we should probably keep this going just a little bit longer. The story, they're dragging the story out far more than it needed to be. But yeah, Killer Cross, Eddie Edwards, Slammiversary. We'll see what happens there. I can't complain. As long as Killer Cross comes out on top, I'm hoping. Eddie Edwards, he's got his kendo stick. That seems to be the only thing that will keep him sane. And then he'll focus on other things. Who knows? You had the promo with LAX. So they're in a bar. Conan tells Santana and Ortiz that they almost lost the tag titles to the Rascals last week, right? He's telling him, like, why are you celebrating? You nearly lost the tag titles. Usually you're on point like a decimal, but this is serious shit, right? And I mentioned last week, they're doing the Rocky storyline with these two teams. And for those of you who doubt me, Santana was literally wearing a Rocky t-shirt in this. He was wearing the Drago Rocky 4. If he dies, he dies. He had that t-shirt on. What more proof do you need, ladies and gentlemen? The Rascals, they interrupt. They're just like, how did you get in here? Same way as you, man. You need to really look at your security. And they demand a rematch. Wentz kind of gets a little bit heated. He gets in Santana's face. And he's like, you need to respect us as tag teams. Like, we had your number. Da-da-da-da. He pushes Santana. They brawl. Like, all these storylines. The LAX have to brawl with every single title contender. I mean, honestly, like, they don't need to. It's... I get flashbacks to the LAX brawls from last month. There's no need for them. They come out looking so silly. They look so stupid, personally. But yeah, LAX get the advantage. They lay out the Rascals. They accept their rematch, which will go down on Slammiversary. And randomly, Ray Phoenix shows up. Like I was trying to think, like, who is that luchador? But that was Ray Phoenix. And like, we're waiting for you, man. Like, Ray Phoenix casually checks on the Rascals, and I think he stole one of their wallets. You just, okay, very bizarre. I think that's the last we'll see of the Lucha Brothers, because this week, ladies and gentlemen, the Lucha Brothers have actually been moved to the alumni section on the Impact Wrestling website. So for those of you thinking like they'll have some more appearances in Impact now that All Elite Wrestling is very close to their TV tapings, yeah, that's the last you'll see of Ray Phoenix. Like, you had a random match with Pentagon for the world title against Michael Elgin and Johnny Impact for the number one contendership. And Ray Phoenix, the last thing we see of him is that he tried to steal one of the Rascals' wallets. Impact, I don't want to think about it too much. It was just, it is what it is. Let's move on. We had, Scarlett Bordeaux and Falaba, they are up to some antics backstage. The smoke show is whatever your heart desires. In this case, it is a talk show. So tonight, her guest is the Knockouts champion, Taya Valkyrie. And this was just cringy to the extreme. And I, as a white Australian, I'm talking about two women. Actually, cut this bit out, Greg. Sorry, just like... Next up, we had Scarlett Bordeaux holding the latest edition of the Smoke Show. The Smoke Show is whatever you want it to be, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, it's a talk show. So tonight, Scarlett's guest is Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie, accompanied by Johnny Bravo. And this got awkward real quick. It got very, Taya, both women are trying to be, Scarlett is being the promiscuous one. Taya's just being, up herself, bitchy, high school, and it did not mesh well. There was some laughing chuckle moments in there, but these two ladies, they both kind of had a look about them. You should see the thumbnail that Impact Wrestling have, where they're just how did we get caught in this situation? Right? Scarlett is just oh, Johnny Bravo, what's the E stand for? Erotic. Okay, that's enough out of you, Johnny. Get out of here. Scarlett is saying, the things that we clearly all want to know now that Johnny Impact is no longer the heavyweight champion. How are things in the bedroom? Like, that's clearly, we all wanted to know what happens there. And Taya's like, don't talk about my husband. What happens in Slamtown stays in Slamtown. And Scarlett's like, oh, Slamtown, where is that? Can I come? It's like, no. This is just very cringy. This is very, very cringy stuff. Then Scarlett reveals that Taya Valkyrie has to defend her Knockouts Championship next week against none other than Su Yung. They talk about the mandatory 30-day title defense clause, right? And if she doesn't defend her title in 30 days, she'll lose it. And of course, Taya flips her shit when she finds out that it's against Su Yung. This confused me for multiple reasons. One, Father James Mitchell earlier in the night said, my goal is to make Havoc the next Knockouts champion. And then Su Yung gets the Knockouts title match. Surely they wouldn't do Su Yung wins the title and then hands it to Havoc. Like, that's not right to do to a wrestler, and she shouldn't be beholden to Havoc and anything like that. Also, just the weird stuff that Scarlett was saying, like, just they had to throw in so many jokes to say that, oh, she's just a blonde bimbo, very promiscuous, like loves to flirt to the extreme, right? And like Taya's throwing out this shit like you would know more about, telling about the information, spit out the information. You know more about spitting than I would, and she's like, I take offense to that. It's like, this didn't need to happen. Please, no more smoke shows. I don't need this to happen. Or maybe he's like not with Taya. Maybe that's the link in this. Very bizarre. The commentary, the comedy didn't work in this for me personally. Yeah, these two ladies did not mesh. Personally, like that's what I feel anyway. It was awkward. They got their messages across, but yeah, not a very solid thing to see. And this is one of those instances where no other wrestling promotions outside of WWE, I don't think, has a talk show. Like, you've got Miz TV, you got A Moment of Bliss, you got the Kevin Owens show, all on WWE. I'm trying to recall on other promotions if anyone else has done similar things, but this is one of those things where I don't think Impact needs to have a talk show. They don't need to copy WWE in this way. Like, WWE and TNA, they copied ideas off each other a lot in the early 2000s, Impact more so than WWE. But yeah, this is one of those things where WWE is in a state where the best thing to do to show that you are better than them is to not copy them at all. At least that's what I feel. Please, no more smoke shows. Let it be left to the imagination what the smoke show truly is. It can be Scarlett just showing up out of the blue with like the smoke everywhere, like the Undertaker. She's got the Undertaker powers, but she's just being like, she's the promiscuous smoke show. I don't know. Very weird thing. And then we have the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Elgin versus Willie Mack, accompanied by Rich Swann. A very topsy-turvy episode of Impact Wrestling, but nevertheless, very strong main event. Not up to the caliber of Michael Elgin and Rich Swann a few weeks prior. Still very great. Willie Mack, love Willie Mack, no complaints. They only had about not even 10 minutes, if that. They didn't have a chance to really get going with this match. So as much as I loved it, yeah, it had nowhere near as much momentum behind it. You had Elgin countered the stunner attempt into a series of kicks for the most part. He had a massive superplex for a very, very close near fall. Elgin charged into the corner, but Willie sidestepped, causing Elgin to crash into the steel ring post. Willie was about to fly to the outside, but Elgin grabs Rich Swann, used him as a shield, and then just slammed Rich Swann, like, thanks for the help, and then just slams him into the apron. Michael Elgin is just unbreakable. Like, I'm loving his... the hospital thing annoys me. Like, even Impact pointing out, like, well, if they're in hospital, why are they appearing next week on Impact Wrestling? But aside from that, his in-ring work is great. There's a reason they brought him over from New Japan. He's just doing great things in the ring. You have Elgin hit a clothesline followed by a buckle bomb and the Elgin bomb to finally put away Willie Mack. Very decisive win. Afterwards, Elgin wanted to continue the slaughter, essentially, but Swan made the save. Then Johnny Impact ran down to the ring and laid out Swan with very unique offense. It looked like his own version of the Nightmare Pendulum that Hammerstone does. Very cool finish. Elgin told Johnny earlier in the night that he does not want help from him and hit him with a German suplex. Johnny Impact is on the outside. Elgin continues to attack Willie. Sednick does a buckle bomb into the steel ring post. Elgin stands tall. He tags Johnny Impact's glasses. Very funny visual there. Stands tall as Impact Wrestling goes off to air. That was Impact Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. A very hit and miss in parts episode of Impact Wrestling, but I enjoyed it. The low point for me was definitely the smoke show. The high point was definitely seeing Havoc, and then the North storyline makes sense. More the story beats making sense. That's the thing that I'm most satisfied with this episode of Impact Wrestling. Yeah, very curious to see how they're going to tie everything together for July 7th for Slammiversary. So before I go, guys, before we release last week's episode of the Impact Zone, we had another Impact Plus exclusive pay-per-view. So last week's one, you had A Night You Can't Miss, and then the very next day we had Digital Destruction, which of course was another House of Hardcore Impact Wrestling collaboration. I'll go through the results with you guys. Very straightforward. You had a singles match. Gio defeated Wrecking Ball Legursky. You had a fatal four-way match where Trey Miguel defeated JXT, Bull James, and Clayton Gaines. I think a couple of OVW guys, as far as I'm aware. You had Joey Ryan defeat Little Guido. That would have been a very interesting one. Michael Elgin defeated Luchasaurus. Oh, that would have been fun. You had the Rascals defeat OVE. So this time it was just a 2-on-2. Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz defeated Jake and Dave Christ. You had a no contest between Ace Romero and Madman Fulton. Just two colossal men just fighting to see who is the bigger monster. No victor, but at the very same time, both men looked really great. You had for the X Division title, which Rich Swann retained against Teddy Hart. That one was really fun. And you had the House of Hardcore Twitch TV Championship. It was a triple threat. Willie Mack once again retained his title, this time against Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. And we ended the Digital Destruction with Billy Gunn, Jordan Grace, and Tommy Dreamer defeating the team of Johnny Impact, Moose, and Taya Valkyrie. Why is Moose in there? Again, Moose just gets thrown in everywhere. It doesn't make sense. Focus on your own things, Moose, and you will thrive in Impact Wrestling. But that was what happened there. Impact, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of great elements. They've got some story beats going together moving forward. I am still looking forward to what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. And that is it for this week for the Impact Zone. So if you want to follow me on all the socials, I am at Mr. Mysterious with the 107i. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hit me up. Let me know what you think about the Impact Zone and the latest installments of Impact Wrestling. If you want to follow us collectively here at the B+, because we're a great bunch, I like to think so, we are at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Remember, we have our Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Any amount you can donate would be greatly appreciated so we can keep giving you all what you want, when you want, giving you the best rundown of Australian wrestling and keeping you guys up to date with all the things going on around the world. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. I've been Mr. Mysterious, this has been the Impact Zone, and I'll see you later.